If you're treating 40 to 55 patients per week and your schedule is full, but you're looking at your revenue and you're like, it's the same as it has been for the past quarter. If you're bringing on other practitioners and other team members to help you grow, but they don't work like you do, so then you have to take all those tasks back and start again. Guess what? You are trapped in a model, and that model is built around you. Welcome to the episode where I talk about practitioner purgatory. And it's a very interesting word, actually not my word. It came from a consult call that I had last week where a practitioner had a conversation with me, and I thought it was hilarious. He didn't think it was that funny, where he's like, Andrew, I'm stuck in practitioner purgatory. Every single time I feel like my business is getting a leg up and I'm building a team and I'm bringing on these other coaches and practitioners to help me grow, they don't sell like me, they don't serve like me, they don't retain like me. So all of a sudden I have to start taking all of these people and clients back. And now it's me, a couple of admins again, and I feel like I'm stuck working inside the business. And guess what? That's where that reference of the model being built around you is true. It is built around you. And that's because there is a superstar trap. And here is what happens with that trap. You see, as the superstar practitioner in your business, you become excellent at care. You know your craft, you get results, you retain your clients well. With that, you're building strong relationships, and that develops a loyal client base for you. And because you're good, your calendar fills, and it fills up week after week without you really having to try. But here's the catch. The very thing that made you successful is now the very thing that is capping you. You see, without you realizing it, you built a business that depends on your personality, your day-to-day energy, your standards, your ability to memorize and your memory, the style of your selling, your way of onboarding, your way of retaining, and all of these things come down to you. You see, you didn't build a system that other people could follow. You built yourself into a job, and that's practitioner purgatory. There's this common thing where as practitioners start to get busy inside of their business, they say to themselves, well, now that I'm full, I can't take on any more people. I'm just going to hire another coach. I'm just going to hire another practitioner. So you try to grow, and that's exactly what you do. You hire. And what happens? They don't sell like you. They don't onboard like you. They don't retain like you. They don't build relationships like you. And suddenly you start seeing that clients are starting to drop off, that your retention goes from you keep a client for a year to they're staying for only 15 or 16 sessions. Your revenue feels unstable, where all of a sudden people who were coming back month to month say, you know what, I'll come back and I'll see you maybe in 2 months' time or 3 months' time. All of this comes from you feeding them your overflow. You are feeding these practitioners your overflow, and they become dependent on you. They're expecting the leads. They're expecting new clients. They're not working to keep the client base. And your practice ends up making the same amount of money that you were making when you were a solo practitioner. So then you think, well, why can't I find good practitioners? Yeah, that's the wrong question. The better question is, why would anyone replicate something that you've never taught or defined them? And that is where you have to start looking at the systems. Hiring feels impossible when the brand and the systems is you. If your brand and your systems is all you, your personality, energy, vibe, instinct, then you can't hire for those things. What are the chances someone's going to have your personality so they can sell like you? What are the chances someone's going to be able to be a people person just like you are so you can build that relationship? You can't hire for instinct, just like you can't hire for intuition. You also can't onboard someone into just do it like I do, because you can't scale charisma. And most practitioners never realize this. They try to hire before they standardize. They try to grow before they have the ability and the opportunity to document. And then they're trying to lead these people going through while they're trying to piecemeal these systems together. So the hiring feels scary and it feels clunky. And the reality is it is scary. It's scary when you're bringing people into a business when there is no playbook for them to actually follow. So the real challenge of practitioner purgatory is not that these people can't sell like you or operate like you. It actually has nothing to do with the person. It's because you have no replicable playbook. You don't have a documented sales flow for them to be able to understand from start to finish how a client experience is actually supposed to go during sales. You don't have a standardized onboarding experience where when someone comes into your brand, do they understand the culture? Do they understand the vision? Do they know what the expectations from clients are? Do they know how to deal with any of the culture issues if something isn't a good fit? You also haven't defined any type of retention checkpoints for them. What defines how long you keep a client? How many clients are you supposed to be keeping week after week, month after month? What do you do when a client comes up for renewal? How do you resell a client? How do you determine if a client is resellable? All these things are very important, which helps define your retention. Then, of course, you don't really show them how they can get leads on their own. How do you show them what their clear key KPIs are? What a clear referral process is? Do you define to them the session structure? Do you have those session structures written down? Most importantly, is there a client journey that's mapped out where they know exactly what the client experience is going to be? A client gets onboarded this way, they do the assessment this way, we fill out client notes this way. Through the process, we ask these set of questions, we deliver this way. So regardless of what their personality is, whether they're charismatic or maybe they've got the personality of a freaking fork, it doesn't actually matter. What matters is they know the system and they know the process, so everything happens the same way every single time. But here's the thing, you can't do that when everything lives in your head. You can't do that if you're making ongoing changes on the fly because you operate at a faster level than a lot of your systems do. And what I mean by that is, how many times have we made an adjustment on the fly to something as simple as a sales process or a sheet, and then we have an SOP or a training manual that we don't go back to and then live update? So even if those things do exist, they're outdated. Or you have little, cheat sheets or different certain quirks that you navigate around in which someone comes in, it's not communicated. And the worst is when you don't have performance indicators for these people and you have unwritten and uncommunicated expectations. And here's the most interesting thing I find when I look at a lot of the practices we work with. There are a lot of uncommunicated expectations where someone goes into your business and you're thinking to yourself, now that I brought on this other coach or this other practitioner, they're going to be able to start getting referrals and start getting leads for me, and they're going to start promoting content 3 or 4 times a week, and our business is going to double, and it's going to be great because the business doesn't rely on me. But really, when you signed them up, it was just like, hey, you're going to be working 30 hours a week. I'm going to be feeding you leads through ads. And they're thinking to themselves that they don't have to do any of that stuff. Did you communicate to them that their responsibility is to also be a part of your brand and create content with you? Did you tell them that was a part of the job? Did you also communicate that they're going to be expected to ask referrals, and maybe you're going to have them join networking groups, or you're going to have them post on organic social media or do master classes or lives frequently to attract people into your practice? And the thing is we think that with a lot of these practitioners, that they operate exactly like you, that they're expected to either do this for free or just expect to want to do this just out of the goodness of their heart. And the reality is many of them aren't like that, or they don't know that that's what you expect. So when you sign them on, you tell them all the things up front to get them started ASAP, and then you start slowly dripping all of these expectations over time that actually ends up confusing them because they're like, well, I don't know if I'm okay with creating content. I don't know if I'm okay with doing networking. I don't know if I have the time to do master classes or seminars. And this is where now all of your uncommunicated expectations end up becoming internal frustrations, which you start to resent them for. You're saying to yourself, I don't know why this person doesn't want to do more. I don't know why I have to keep stepping in for these extra master classes, or I have to keep giving them leads at clients. How come they're not generating their own clients? All of this comes down to systems, the communication of those systems. So if everything lives in your head, you actually don't own a business. You just own a performance. And guess what? Performances don't scale because you can't make up multiple of you. Now, alongside creating standard operating procedures and practices for that, there is an identity shift that comes into transforming into the person that makes these training practices work. And this is where most practitioners get really, really uncomfortable. If you want to escape practitioner purgatory, you have to shift from being the best practitioner in the room to architect of the room. And that means you've got to design how care is delivered. You have to be defining how sales are done. You have to be teaching how retention works. And you need to create something predictable in onboarding and in delivery so that way the same thing happens the same way every time. And this isn't sexy work, but being an architect and designing a repeatable system doesn't have to be sexy. It just has to work. AKA when you walk into a bank and you look at the layout and you go, wow, someone put some thought into this. Yeah, they did. They know how many people go through their door and what it takes to service them the right way. They have the exact amount of time that someone spends at the bank on average, and they have the exact amount of people doing the same thing the same way, signing off on each transaction, so that way they can continue to serve their clients in the best way. You need to be building that in your clinics. And in order to do that, guess what? You have to be building metrics. And here's the key with your business metrics. It has to be metrics that don't depend on emotion. So here's a great example of that. When we're looking at things like retention, retention is something that doesn't depend on emotion. Even if you are in the health industry, you should have no problem keeping 60 to 65% of your clients year over year, because there's always something that you can be helping them with in the journey. So if someone has a 30 to 40% retention of existing clients, that's a problem, because that means they're not asking clients how they're doing, or they're not connecting with them on a level that they need to be able to get the next goal so they can generate the next outcome for that person. All they're doing is focus on the session, and then when that person leaves, all the care stops and that ends. Versus, let's say, a metric on emotion, like, I don't understand why this person isn't showing up on their social media promoting my brand 3 or 4 times a week. That's an emotional metric. And that's because usually, as practitioners who own the business, you get frustrated that people don't operate like you. You're the type of person that when you have a friend who has a brand, you're going to create a post and you're going to say, hey, look, go and buy from that person. And a lot of your team members may not do that, or may not understand that that is something that is expected of them. So there is a level of reality that you have to build into your business metrics. And there's some really simple ones to follow. Retention, I would say, is the most important, because even if your sales aren't great, even if it's like you're converting 10% of your leads or people that walk through the door, which is like minimum 35% for the people inside of coach to coach. And if you're converting 35% of your leads, we're having conversations about sales and stuff all the time, because that's still too low in my opinion. But Let's say even if you have something crazy, like just 10%, as long as you're keeping people on the back end and you have a high retention rate, 10% is still going to grow and scale your business because you're going to be signing up more people than end up falling off on the back end or that end up finishing the program. But you have to set that up ahead of time. So I would say retention is number one. The second thing is going to be your sales. And by sales, it's not how many clients you sign up. It is when you're sitting in front of people, are these people the right fit? So are you pre-qualifying them? And then through that pre-qualification of the leads that are the right fit, how many people do commit to service plans? Because service plans are how you grow and scale your business. And it's not about, of course, recommending a length of time that's not right for them. It's about recommending the length of time that's going to take them to the end goal and beyond. Because the first goal is never the end goal for most people. So we have retention, we have upfront sales, we have pre-qualification, we have follow-ups, and then of course there's going to be metrics for client delivery. At the 4-week mark, at the 12-week mark, at the 20-week mark, whatever length of your program is, do you have check-ins and do you have follow-ups with your team? So when you're taking a look at that, the client is continuously seeing the results that they want. And if they're not, you actually have these periods where you get to review and you get to change their process. See, these are the things that aren't sexy. It's not sexy to work on these back-end systems. It's actually less ego-driven, but it's how businesses grow. Because what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed makes money. There's a hard truth that I was sharing with one of my clients, because my client had one of their highest months ever, which I'm super proud of them, $150,000 they hit in January, which was really incredible. And they were like, I'm getting nervous about taking a vacation. And I was like, listen, if your business collapses for you to just take 2 weeks off, then your systems aren't built enough yet. You don't actually have a business. You just have demand. And they were like, what do you mean by that? You should be able to build a business and a system where if you're taking 2 weeks off, or if you get sick, or if you have to pick a kid up after, let's say they, beat somebody up at school. I don't know, maybe not that, but maybe your kids get sick at school, whatever. It's like when you go and you take that day out, or when you go and you remove yourself from that, is your business going to halt? Is it going to break down? Not going to do what they're supposed to do? Does your admin have any idea of what they need to be doing day to day? See, the practitioners that are really good at building demand always have a full schedule, but their time is completely filled and they don't really have a business. Because the moment they take these 2 weeks off, their business shuts down. And the best thing is when I shared that with my client, they were like, well, thank goodness you and I worked on the systems because I've already got the 2 weeks planned and I know everything is going to go smooth with my coaches. So having a system and a strategy and a process and just having demand and filling your time, those things are not the same thing. So as we end off this episode, I want to talk about what I like to call the exit plan from being practitioner or being inside of Practitioner Purgatory, because there is kind of a step-by-step process to how we get out of this constant cycle we find ourselves in here, so then we can start to grow and scale our business. And the first step of that is you have to map your client journey. From the first touch point, which is the first time someone reaches out to you on social media, they walk into your physical clinic, maybe they're going into your facility, from that first touch point, all the way up to 12-month retention, you need to be mapping out word for word, what are the conversations, who are they speaking to, what happens with admin, what happens with the person doing the client delivery, what happens with sales, and you map out that entire client journey. As you're mapping out the journey, you're going to say, where will the clients fall off? What are the chances that the team is going to have questions or they're going to overlap in terms of their duties here? Where do I have to step in as the owner, and where can my team continue this process? You need that for a minimum of the first 12 months because it is very easy for you to be able to build a repeatable system that retains someone for at least a year. The average retention for our clients inside of the C2C program is 2.2 years on their clients. So it's very simple for you to be able to get retention for at least a year. At that point, this is where you have to start looking at secondary programmings. What type of health practitioner are you? Like nutritionist versus physiotherapist, that stuff, that changes the way your retention is moving forward. But you need a plan for at least the first 12 months. Once you have that plan, this is where you're going to go into step 2. You've got the client journey. Now through each and every part, you're going to document. You want to document the sales conversation. That's going to be the first part of this. And by document, it's not your vibe. It's going to be your structure. What do you want everyone to experience from the first time they talk with you to the moment they sign up with you? Because that 30% of the journey is going to dictate the other 70%. How they operate with you as a client, how they see results, how they stay, and how they continue afterwards all comes from that. Because how someone moves from the beginning, like what moves them, is what keeps them moving. If you have to guilt someone or fear someone to join your process, if you have to convince them to join, then you're going to have to continue to do that inside of your client delivery and retention. So you have to say to yourself, with this entire 12-month client journey, what does the sales conversation look like? How many touch points do we have? What do we do if someone stops responding? When someone has the conversation, how do we get them committed? How do we communicate our onboarding? So when we go through that onboarding, that person is going to say, wow, this is the right professional for this, and I'm all. That way, you can pass this on to somebody. That's the whole purpose of this. You pass it on so that way you have a structure that's repeatable, not a vibe that somebody has to try and figure out. Now we move on to step 3. Once we have this sales process on and we've got the client journey set, now we have to define non-negotiable care standards. This is so important. We want to deliver and say to ourselves, what is the bare minimum of care? And by bare minimum, I don't mean a shitty level of care. I'm saying, what is the standard that everyone has to make so anyone delivering inside of your brand knows the expectations? This is going to help you streamline your retention moving forward. Because if clients get serviced the same way, if notes are written the same way, if plans and programs are changed at the same time, we're going to nail 95% of the challenges and problems around the issues with our clients. Whether our clients see results, what length of time our clients will get those results in. This is very important because this is going to allow you to sell that person later on or to keep that person later on if they choose. And now we move on to step 4. This is going to be creating your metrics. Performance isn't an emotional thing. Don't get hooked up emotionally on how someone performs. It's a visible thing. You have to have easy metrics for someone to understand. How many clients do I need to bring on? What's the percentage of clients I have to keep? If I'm delivering to the clients, what is the level of results that someone has to get? If it's weight loss, how much weight do they have to lose? If it's, a general program, do I have to have an 85% or 90% success rate? All of these things are very important because without those clear metrics, there's going to be a lot of room for someone to say, well, I don't know if it is going to work for me. And finally, it's step 5. Once you have all of that, then you hire into systems. This is where you start looking at people who are already working for other companies or who have been established in the industry for a long time, and you start prepping this person. Hey, Are you interested in moving? Do you want to come work with me? And here's why I say you look for other coaches and practitioners who are working for someone else. Any good practitioner or any good coach worth their salt has no issue filling their client base. That means they're not going to be looking for a job. They're not going to be doing practitioner part-time. The only people who are usually floating around in the pool of resumes, especially in health, are the people who are new, the people who are part-time, or the people who do not have a good attitude. Those are the three types of people. So when we design this, when we go into hire into systems, this is where we start hiring maybe HR outsourcers, where these people are going to find others working for other companies, and we're going to invite them to work with us. We get to handpick, and when we handpick, we know that our system will help fill in all of the other gaps that maybe this person doesn't have. So this is how you make your way out of practitioner purgatory. It's not just about selling. It's not about giving more leads. It's not about constantly feeding all of your team members so they can get more and more clients on their books. The way that you do it is you do it with a process. It's not sexy, but it doesn't have to be. It just has to work. And this is where, when you take a look at all of the multi-practitioner clinics or the businesses that have multiple coaches inside of your field, every single one of these people has a system and a process. They have a playbook that they take everybody through, and that playbook is non-negotiable. And when you do that, combined with the culture, that's when you're going to start transitioning out of practitioner purgatory. And here's the best part as we end this episode. If you need someone to help you transition these systems and build these systems in, this is exactly what the C2C program is for. Inside of Coach to Coach, we don't just help you generate leads through ads or help you create new promotions where people fill the offers in. We also help you create systems and processes around your sales, around your content, around your admin support. So that way, when you're building out a team or when you're bringing on new members, these people are going to work, and they're going to work well the moment they start. This is going to allow you to step away from your business, to take less time working with people day to day, and more time spending on traveling or teaching part-time or hopping into some type of speaking engagement. Whatever it is that you want to do with your free time, you will be able to do that because you have a system and process that allows you to keep the space that you create. Coach to Coach program is accepting 2 people for the span of March. And just as a heads up, as I'm filming this mid-February, next week I am going to be away. So if you click that C2C consult booking link and you're like, oh, I don't see any times for that in February. Yeah, it's because I'm speaking at TEDx. So I'm not taking any consults during that time, but I will be taking consults the week afterwards. So make sure, of course, you click just 1 week after, and you will see a bunch of slots that are there. So we're taking 2 more people on for the span of March. Don't hesitate to join C2C today. There's also some sweet bonuses as well that if you're interested in, you can just DM me the word C2C on Instagram if you want to chat about it, and then I can share more info with you. Thanks, guys, for listening to this episode, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.